So let's go over the Khorne tier list. You know how this works, you have the best units up top, and then you have the comment bait down at the bottom. Now this should be pretty fast because Khorne doesn't have too many units. Starting off with his cavalry, they fall into many different tiers. His standard cavalry tend to be overshadowed, we'll get to that in a second, and his other mobility, like the motorcycle and the skull cannon, don't really perform too well. So, what is Khorne's best mobility? It's gonna be his Khorne dogs and Furies. But what exactly makes them so good? It's purely just a damage to gold value check. For any amount of gold that you pay for these units, Bloodhounds will give you a lot more value and a lot more damage per second. It's the same case for Furies, except they're better in settlements, where dogs are better in an open field. And I'm going to put standard dogs in the good tier simply because they're basically Bloodhounds, except for the early game. So same rules apply, where they're crazy cost efficient in an open field, but they lack armor piercing, which makes them a lot less useful against elite units. But we should also talk about the Minotaurs. I don't think they're as strong as the dogs, and they're definitely less cost efficient, but they definitely have a niche. And that specifically is for blitzing through battles as fast as you can. If you don't have the micro to spare, these guys are your go-to option. Very nice when you're late into a campaign, and efficiency doesn't matter as much. Now, one interesting thing about Khorne, all his infantry fall into basically the same category. Essentially, they're all mid-tier damage dealers, so one of them's gonna come out on top, and that's going to be the Bloodletters. If you don't know which infantry to take, definitely go with these guys, simply because they are way faster than the Khornate warriors. But of course, these guys aren't useless. You have one for missiles, one for cavalry, and one that's basically a Bloodletter except armored. Now lastly, we have Spawn, who are pretty niche. They're basically Minotaurs for a cheaper price point, and the Soul Grinder that is overshadowed by Bloodthirsters. These guys are better than Soul Grinders in basically every way. They cost about the same, have better combat stats, and are a lot more mobile. Now all this is pretty surface level, but we can go deeper. If you want to learn more about Warhammer's finer mechanics, check out the video in the bottom right.